Welcome everyone to this episode of Can We Talk About Your WordPress Projects? Today we're going to talk about privacy policies and how privacy policies can be both a lead generator and a source of recurring revenue for you long term, as well as a possible additional service you can offer clients using a policy generator. I'm so happy to be joined by my friends Hans and Donata Skilrud. It's so much easier to say now because they recently got married. Not a complicated last name. Now it's way easier to say Hans and Donata Skilrud. I met Hans and Donata at some WordCamp in 2019. If you are in the Facebook group and want me to see who you are as you post your comments, you need to grant StreamYard permission for that. Scroll up to the description of the topic today, a link at the bottom, and click that way. When I want to do things like this, I can put your comment on the screen. We'll know who it is. If you would type in where you're watching from, that's always helpful to know where people are coming from. And it lets me know you were here. If you're watching the replay, just type in replay. Thanks. Okay, so Hans and Donata, I met them at WordCamp sometime in 2019. I was just fascinated by the product they have and how it can really help us help our clients more. So Hans and Donata, that's my introduction of you. Why don't you please tell us about yourself? And Hans, be sure to include your background as your agency, because I have a very important question to ask you at the very end that has become a hot topic in my group.
Great. Yeah, we'll do.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, so I guess I'll go first.
Yeah.
My name is Donata, and I'm a attorney licensed in Illinois and a certified information privacy professional. I'm the president of Termageddon, which, as Beth said, generates website policies. So I'm actually the legal engineer behind the product. So I wrote all of the policy questionnaires, all of the text variations. I also keep track of privacy bills in the US and across the world, so that takes up quite a bit of my time. I'm also the chair of the Chicago chapter of the International Association of Privacy Professionals and the vice chair of the American Bar Association's e-Privacy Committee. I guess while I'm introducing myself as an attorney, I'll also put a quick disclaimer here. Any information that we're going to be sharing here today is not legal advice. We're just trying to help people understand the basic concepts behind privacy.
Awesome. My name is Hans. I'm the co-founder and vice president I oversee agency partnerships, relationships, marketing, and sales. Prior to Termageddon, I ran a 12-person web design agency for 7 years. I used to copy and paste privacy policies for my clients, to be fully honest. And I started dating a privacy attorney who told me that's immediately going to stop. And we created Termageddon because of it. So we created a solution. We give away web agencies a free set of our policies. They're auto-updating. Whenever the laws change, we notify you and push updates with new disclosures required by law. And we give agencies the ability to resell or refer our products so they can make some recurring revenue while helping their clients out.
Excellent. If you're watching and you've got a question, please type it in the chat and I'll be happy to ask it. Okay, does every website need a privacy policy?
No. A lot of people misunderstand what websites need to have a privacy policy. Some people think only e-commerce websites need it, or only websites that sell personal information need it, or only like really big businesses need it, all of that kind of stuff. That's actually not the case. The one thing you use to determine whether a website needs a privacy policy is whether it collects what we call personally identifiable information. And personally identifiable information is any information that could identify someone. For example, names, emails, phone numbers, IP addresses, stuff like that. If your website is collecting PII, that's when you need to have a privacy policy. So websites that you're building, if it has analytics, if it has a contact form, if it has a newsletter sign-up form, if it has account creation forms, stuff like that, that's when you need to have a privacy policy.
Okay, so that's very clear. What about terms and conditions?
Terms and conditions set the rules to using a website. It lets people know, hey, these are your rights when visiting our website, and these are our rights as the website owners. The main thing about terms of service is that I like it for every website because you can have simple disclosures in there that limit your liability as a website owner. So number one, offering a statement that says we offer links to third-party websites. I don't know of any website in this day and age that doesn't offer links to third-party websites. That segment of the terms of service states we're not responsible. If you click on one of those links and that site's hacked and you get hacked and you lose all your data, you can't come back and sue us. So that is a reason why I like a terms of service just for about any website imaginable. The second reason why I like it, especially for the US market, is the DMCA disclosure. DMCA stands for Digital Millennium Copyright Act. It's basically a disclosure where you say, hey, if I'm using any copywritten images or material on accident, I'm sorry, here's my contact information to let me know I'm doing something wrong, and I will immediately remove it upon you notifying me. Disclosure is a wonderful way to comply with DMCA and significantly reduce your chances of being sued for copyright infringement.
Yeah, and terms of service can also answer commonly asked questions like returns, refunds, cancellations. It can help you comply with consumer protection laws. But really, the main point of it is to protect yourself. So when you do business online, you could have customers from anywhere, right? We're located in Chicago, Illinois, but we could have a customer located in New York. Let's say there's a dispute between us and that customer. We don't want to fly all the way to New York and fly our evidence there and witnesses and all of that. You'd want to resolve disputes on your home turf, so you don't have to spend a ton of money traveling. And a terms of service can help you do that as well. It's just a really great way to protect yourself as the business owner.
Right. Just like we have those kinds of statements in our contract with our website clients, that is like a contract between the website owner and the website visitor. That,
It's a really good way of looking at it. Yes.
It just covers your rear.
Exactly.
But which websites are required by law to have a privacy policy?
Privacy laws are a little bit more complicated. So I'll give the general overview of that here. There are multiple privacy laws in the United States and abroad. For example, UK has one, EU has one, Canada has one that protect consumers of that state or country. What that means is the laws have a very broad reach. California has one privacy law called CalOPA that applies to any website that collects the PII of California consumers. When you think about contact forms, anyone from anywhere could submit their information to your contact form, including people from California. If people from California can submit their information to you, you need to comply with California's privacy law. Similar thing with Nevada. Nevada has a privacy law. If you do business in Nevada, like for example, if you have a customer that's located there, you need to comply with their privacy law. Delaware has a privacy law that protects the information of Delaware consumers. We have this list on our blog too. You can check it out. It's termageddon.com/blog. But basically, if you are collecting the personal information of people from other states or countries, if you have customers in other states or countries, or if you do business in other states or countries, that's when you really need to have a privacy policy to make sure you're compliant with those laws.
And I got to jump in real quick if you don't mind. The other thing to consider, if you are building websites for your clients and you're adding contact forms, you're adding IP address, I doubt you have the desire to become a privacy attorney and handle privacy policies for your clients. If you do, I wish you the best. It's a full-time job. But if you're like any of the web agencies I've spoken to or myself, being a former agency owner, I think we as an industry need to understand that if you are building contact forms for your clients, you're installing Google Analytics for your clients, you may be forcing those clients into complying with not one, but multiple privacy laws. I think that's why this discussion needs to be had, because there's already privacy laws that exist. People could already be out of compliance, but it's about to get a whole heck of a lot worse.
Well, so could every single state have a separate privacy policy? You've got these 50 different policy things you've got to manage.
That's the way we're trending right now. If anybody here remembers or knows the General Data Protection Regulation, the European Union, which is a combination of many countries, came together and said, okay, we need one privacy law for all of us so we can do business easily between borders. So they came out with GDPR, and that's what they did over there. Over here, a lot of us privacy attorneys would love that, because honestly, that would save me so much time. If we had a federal privacy law and I just had to have one, and that would be that. But unfortunately, that's not happening. We're not seeing any movement on the federal level when it comes to a privacy law. what we're seeing is more and more states proposing and passing their own privacy laws. Right now, there's over a dozen privacy bills because all of these bills would apply to businesses outside of those states. A business that works online, that sells products online or has a website is going to need to comply with 15, 20, 30, maybe someday even 50 privacy laws all at once. And the hard part too is that these privacy laws have very specific requirements. When it comes to a privacy policy, a lot of people think it's just what PII are you collecting, what are you doing with it, and who you share it with. But unfortunately, that's not the case. These privacy laws have all these really obscure disclosures, like what's a toll-free phone number where consumers can contact you to exercise their privacy rights. It's not something that you would normally think would be included. So it's really hard. You have to combine all of these privacy laws together to get a privacy policy, because having 50 privacy policies is going to be too confusing to the consumers. You want to combine it all into one. And that's my job. It is a pain in the butt sometimes, especially when they don't completely match up. So yeah, we're going to see increased complexity in these policies, increased requirements throughout time, and increased enforcement.
You mentioned GDPR. I'm a US-based business, but there's people in the EU who buy my courses. I need to be GDPR compliant, correct? The second part of my question is, someone told me this, and it could be a falsehood, that if a person from the EU is visiting the US, and let's say you block your website to only serve the US, no other countries. Someone told me that someone from the EU was visiting the US and visited your site and bought something, you had to be GDPR compliant.
The second part of that, yes, it could be correct, but let me just tell you who GDPR applies to. Let's start there. Just because your website is accessible in the EU with no other factors does not mean that you automatically have to comply with GDPR. So Joe's Plumber Shack doesn't necessarily have to comply with GDPR just because somebody from the EU could stumble upon their website. GDPR applies in three cases. One, businesses that are located in the EU. So if you're located, for example, in France, you need to comply with the law. Two, if you offer goods or services to EU residents. That sounds like the one you may be falling under. Offering goods or services, just having a website up is not necessarily an offer. It could mean providing your class in French, or shipping products to France, or providing directions to your office from France, or stuff like that. That's when you're offering goods or services. Or if you're providing your website in French as well. Would that be another example? Or three, if you're tracking the behavior of EU residents online. And that's where most websites are required to comply with GDPR. Tracking the behavior basically means having analytics installed. If you have Google Analytics and that's tracking the behavior of EU residents.
Cookies and pixels is what you're talking about.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the techies in the group, cookies and pixels. Okay.
Where most websites get caught up in GDPR compliance is tracking that behavior, getting analytics, cookies and pixels and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Shouldn't folks really get a privacy attorney like you to do these privacy policies for them?
Nothing beats hiring a privacy attorney to monitor privacy laws, update your privacy policies when the laws change and so forth. If you are looking to speak to an attorney, I highly recommend you ask the questions about what they're doing to follow the privacy laws and what their strategy is to update your privacy policy when the laws change. If their jaw drops and they don't know that Nevada has a privacy law or California has two privacy laws and just passed a third, if they aren't up to par with that and they don't have a strategy to keep it up to date, I would say that's a red flag and maybe consider hiring another.
Be careful about talking to your contracts attorney about this. You want to make sure it's somebody who focuses their practice on privacy. If you are looking for a privacy attorney, go to the International Association of Privacy Professionals, IAPP.org, and you can find lists of those attorneys that you can contact.
Now,
I imagine hiring an attorney, it always is very expensive. So if I don't have a budget for that, then a tool like Termageddon, because you're not the only one out there. I thought for a long time you were, but you're not the only one out there. I think you're the best one out there.
We
but
are.
you're not the only one. Well, just Donata's credentials and where she sits on these as chair of these committees is huge because she's knowing everything that's happening every minute in that.
Just last month, she never talks about this. Just last month, she was elected to lead the ABA's team of attorneys on providing documentation to legislators on how to write privacy laws.
That's some pretty big dog credentials there, Donata.
Yeah, I'm about to become a house husband, and I got to start working out more and just get my life together. But I
You'll just be Donata's husband from now on, right?
yeah, I've been Donata's husband since.
On you, it's always been Hans and Donata. Necessary. It's just Hans and Donata. Everyone knows who you are.
Donata and her husband.
Exactly. Did you have something to say? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I will always recommend privacy attorneys over a generator. A generator is a tool. A privacy attorney is a user of tools. In fact, we have lots of law firms using our platform for their own clients. But most small businesses out there do not have the funds to not only pay an attorney to draft a privacy policy, but pay an attorney to monitor privacy laws for them and update the privacy policies when the laws change. If you're making over $50 million a year in revenue, fine. You probably have in-house, you can afford in-house counsel to handle that. I think there's a massive disadvantage. The small businesses are being forced into complying with a multitude of privacy laws. I think Termageddon's the best solution to getting a comprehensive policy added to your website as a cost-effective means. Yeah, with generators, I would highly recommend, take a look at other generators. I would also recommend looking at who is behind the companies, for sure. Make sure they have an attorney, let alone a privacy attorney on staff. But anyways, I'll digress from that.
Well, when all this privacy policy stuff started, WordPress stuck in a privacy policy, a sample privacy policy and a page for you automatically you could use, which was okay, but that was several years ago and many things have changed. It's become much more strict. Okay, so Shanta has a question. She says she doesn't have any clients yet, but she's building a mailing list. They could be from anywhere. She's in Canada, so how would she approach her privacy policy? Can she just comply with the PIPEDA? Or does she have to do USA also?
That's a really good question. Let's say you're just starting off your business and you want to create a mailing list so you can update them on your future launches. Certain privacy laws actually won't allow you to use an email if you have not received consent. For example, I collect somebody's information from France and they did not consent to my privacy policy when they gave me that email. That means I can't use that email for marketing or any other purposes in the future. That's why it's really, really important to have a privacy policy and have the user agree to the privacy policy before you collect their information, because it affects how you're able to use their information down the line. And privacy laws will start applying to you as soon as you collect the information. You don't necessarily have to use it, share it, sell it. As soon as you get it, that's when privacy laws will start applying. So if you're located in Canada, yes, you will need to comply with PIPEDA, which is Canada's privacy law. Interesting tidbit, Canada is actually looking to change that privacy law. They're proposing the ability to allow consumers to sue businesses directly for violations. They're increasing the fine amounts under that law. But because privacy laws have such a broad reach, if you're located in Canada, you could potentially be required to comply with US privacy laws, EU, UK, and all of that. You want to make sure you receive the right consent and you properly process that. And consent, you need accurate disclosures to have consent. That's where your privacy policy comes in. For everybody else, real quick, a lot of people don't know how a privacy policy is created. They just think, oh, you're going to put some random stuff in there to talk about what I do with data, and that's going to be that. That's not how privacy policies are created. If you get your privacy policy created correctly, this is going to also help you determine whether you got the right privacy policy. The first step is to figure out what privacy laws apply to you. Privacy laws have certain criteria. Like I said, Nevada's privacy law. I have to do business in Nevada for that law to apply to me. If your lawyer or the generator you're using or the template you're using did not first figure out what privacy laws apply to you, the end product that you're getting is trash and it's probably not compliant with what you need to do. Once we figure out what privacy laws apply to you, then you look at what disclosure those privacy laws require, because the privacy law will actually have a section that says your privacy policy must state A, B, C, D, E, F, blah, blah, blah. Then all of those disclosures go into your privacy policy. That's how your privacy policy is created.
Gotcha. Whoever Facebook user is, I think it's Michael McGinty in Ireland. He asked the question, do you do privacy policies and terms of service or just privacy policies? And Termageddon will do both, as well as you've added some other disclaimers, right?
Yeah, we also have disclaimers and end user license agreements. If this is a question from a person in Ireland, just so you know, for Irish customers, we only have the privacy policy available right now. We're working on the terms of service, but the European Union is changing their terms of service laws in like 3 months. So I didn't really want to muckle in it until the laws change so I can have the final version. Service is going to come for Irish customers, but it's only the privacy policy right now. Just so you know, too, if you're an agency or a freelancer, we'll give you a free license. You'll get the privacy policy, and once the terms are available, we'll give you those terms, and it won't cost you anything extra.
That was Michael McGinty. He decided to let us know who it was. When I started out, I copied and pasted one. Then when I met you guys, you offer this free one to me as an agency owner. I dragged my feet on even doing that because I thought, oh, this is going to be so miserable to go through this wizard and fill all this stuff out. It took maybe 20 minutes. It was amazing how fast it was in terms and conditions also. I have a privacy policy. I have terms and conditions. At a basic level, that's pretty much what I need.
Yeah, the two other policies we offer, the end user license agreement, that one's really only if you're selling packaged software from your website. It's not that frequently used, I guess I'll say. The other one's a disclaimer. That one's great if you're participating in affiliate programs, if you're selling health products like vitamins, if you're providing health and fitness tips, or if you're providing information that could be seen as legal advice. So that's when you should really look into the disclaimer. But the privacy policy and the terms of service are the most popular and useful policies we provide.
What's the worst that could happen if a website for a small business that needs one but doesn't have one? They could be subject to litigation. But in today's world, how big of a deal is it really?
So I'll put it in perspective of what's going on now and what I think is going to happen in the future. What's going on now, and you can see this on GDPRenforcementtracker.com, there have been one-person companies or startups that have been fined 60,000 euros for changing the email address of one of their subscribers without giving them consent. I cannot stress this enough. If you're a business owner, you get to make decisions on whether you want to comply with stuff or not, but privacy law compliance is very real and it's only getting more serious. That leads me into what I think is going to happen in the future. New York has 6 privacy bills. Most of them are proposing to enable their citizens to sue businesses of any size located anywhere for having as little as a contact form on their website without the proper disclosures that are compliant with New York's privacy law. This is my own personal opinion. I believe, especially in America, we are going to have what I think are called ambulance chasers. I don't know if that's unacceptable speech at this point in time, but I think we're going to have a lot of people chasing people down for a quick buck. And I think right now we're in the proactive era. I think privacy law compliance is absolutely something that is in existence now. There are privacy laws you need to comply with now. But the fact is, I think it's going to get even crazier in the future.
Are serial litigators,
Yes.
people who just look for somebody being non-compliant so they can sue.
Yeah, we saw that with accessibility. Once it became clear individual consumers can sue businesses and win for failure to have an accessible website, we saw a crazy explosion in lawsuits. One thing I'd want to mention as well is the fine structure. In Europe, the fine structure is in the millions, 20 million euros or more. In the United States, or in Europe, it's more of a sliding scale. They'll take into account the size of your business, the number of people whose privacy rights you infringed upon, the severity of the infringement, what kind of PII was exposed. In the United States, we have a strict fine. The fines range from $2,500 to $7,500 per violation, depending on the law, and there's no factors taken into account. And per violation means per website visitor. Let's say I have 100 website visitors from California this month, and I infringe on their privacy rights. The fine is 100 times 2,500, and they don't care how big or small your business is. It's just how many people went to your website.
Dang.
Yeah, it's
I'm going to speak real quick. Earlier, you were talking about I used to copy and paste privacy policies. I did the same. I have been in that boat. I know what that boat looks like. I really think people that are seeking a free privacy policy and they find something online or they copy it from a competitor, outside of that being copyright infringement, I think what they're trying to do is answer the question, how do I get a privacy policy? Companies like Termageddon are trying to answer the question, how do I not get fined or sued for privacy law noncompliance? Because that's what tools, I can't say all generators, but that's what a good generator should be seeking to do, is help you figure out what privacy laws you need to comply with in the first place, and then providing the exact disclosures, which are exactly required by the privacy policy law, nothing more, nothing less. It's that simple. So.
Yeah, and then helping you keep that policy up to date when new bills are passed or existing laws are amended.
And Paul, you have a question. How can we tell if our info could be seen as legal advice? Can't everything be seen as legal advice?
The question is, how can you tell if something could potentially be legal advice on your website? A great way to tell that is if you're providing business advice, because a lot of business advice could be seen as legal advice. An example would be you writing an article as to why you should form an LLC, or why you should have an operating agreement, or why should you form a corporation, or how do you get somebody to invest into your business? That type of business advice can also be seen as legal advice, and that's where we'd recommend having a disclaimer. Yeah.
We are in an era where collecting personal information is regulated. If you're building that for your clients, more than anything, need to be protecting your own agency. That's why with our agency partner program, we give you free assets like a website policies waiver, which you can have your client sign, acknowledging you may be now collecting PII and need to have some policies on your website. This is my notice to you that just because I build your website does not mean I'm your privacy lawyer. Whether or not you use Termageddon, get a waiver like that signed, because as we all know, you can bring a horse to water, you can't force it to drink. First and foremost, don't make the decision for your client. The biggest mistake I used to do was, oh, my client's too small for privacy laws. Who am I to judge what a client needs on privacy law compliance? Actually, they probably do need to be compliant with privacy laws. Rather than you trying to make business decisions, pass that liability off to your client. Let them know, hey, just so you know, you might have to comply with some privacy laws because of the new website we built for you. Sign this document acknowledging we're not responsible for that. And you can choose to do nothing, which is fine. You're a business owner. You can choose to be non-compliant with the law, or you can hire an attorney, or you can use Termageddon.
When you're talking to your clients about this, you don't need to be a certified information privacy professional. You don't need to know all the names of all the privacy laws and all the bills. What you really just need to say, we're building you this website. It has this form. It has analytics. It's collecting PII. I think you should look into getting a privacy policy.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. When it comes to agency contracts, I used to write those back in the day, so I'm very familiar. Brings back some great and horrible memories at the same time. Make sure to check your contracts. Some agency contracts have come from another agency. A partner shared it with them or something like that. It says, we will comply with all privacy laws, and we guarantee that your website complies with all applicable laws, rules, and regulations. Search your contract, look it over, search it for the phrase, all applicable laws, rules, and regulations. If it has that in there, just burn it. Just take it into your backyard and burn it and start over, because there have been contracts floating around that has that language. So it's very important to check and make sure you're not promising your client something that you can't deliver. Same thing with warranties. Make sure your warranties are reasonable. You're not warranting this website's going to work and look great for the next 10 years, because as we know, screen sizes change, browsers change, all of that. Make sure you're careful with your contracts and make sure you're upfront with your clients of the things you are an expert in and the things you're not an expert in.
Ella has a question. Do you do open source software licenses?
We do end user license agreements, which could be customized enough to be open source software licenses. But to be honest with you, if you are building some kind of a plugin that you're going to release as an open source type of thing, because of the time you're investing into building that project, I would definitely recommend having an attorney at least review your end user license agreement to make sure that it's proper for you.
Excellent. Okay. So I think we have an understanding of how Termageddon can address this problem. I'll just describe it from an end user perspective as using it on my own website. Basically, it walks you through a wizard, asks the pertinent questions, and it spits out the policy at the end. If you need to add certain things, like I don't give refunds except in certain circumstances, I had to go in and modify that language to meet what my actual terms were. You can do overrides. And no, it doesn't automatically update without you knowing. It doesn't work that way. They notify you there's been a change. You review the change, then can apply that or not apply it. You still have control over everything in that privacy policy. You're getting the added benefit of the advice of a privacy attorney who just looked at that, and it's in her best interest to make sure she gets it right because she's got a product out there. I think it's a terrific idea. And it works really well. Here's another question. If I built a website back before I knew about all of this, and I never even informed my client they might need a privacy policy, am I liable if they get sued now?
Let me kind of start off with this. Some of our agency partners feel this way. Number one, privacy is something that's pretty new. Privacy came about after the Cambridge Analytica scandal was publicized in 2018. This is not something that's been a huge deal since 1995 and you've been behind the curve for decades. It's not like that. Consumer interest in privacy, even though there's some older privacy laws, consumer interest in privacy, especially in the United States, is something that's very new. Now, based on your liability as an agency on the websites that you build is based on your contract. And so if you're worried about that, what I would do is I would look at the contract that you had with the client and see what the promises are. Did you promise it was going to be compliant, or did you not promise that? What warranties did you make? A lot of agencies make the warranty of that work will be performed in a professional and workmanlike manner. That's kind of the phrase. When it comes to the standards of that depends on what other agencies in your area have done. Now, would anyone really expect an agency to build a website that's compliant with privacy laws that only come out 3 years down the road? Probably not. I would say that seems pretty unreasonable because you're a website designer, not a lawyer. Also, there's no way to predict what laws are going to come out. I can't even fully predict them. I have software that tells me high or low, but that's about it. It depends on your contract and it depends on the promises you made to your clients.
And I'll put in my 2 cents here too. I like to look at this as a wonderful opportunity to message your past clients and educate them on the growing importance of privacy because, number one, it showcases you as a thought leader in the space. You're staying up to date with trends and changes in our industry. We even have pre-written emails to do this. Sending an email to your past client list saying, are you aware that California passed its 3rd privacy bill in November of last year? Are you aware Canada is proposing a bill which will enable Canadians to sue businesses for collecting as little as an email address in the contact form? What a great opportunity to demonstrate you're on top of your game. You're reaching out to your past clients to let them know about new trends that are occurring and ways they can protect themselves. It's a great way to just restart some conversations. It's a great way to document it just in case anything weird happens. With our reseller program or affiliate program, it's a great way to make some recurring revenues too while at it.
That was a great segue into 2 of mine. Well, to one thing is I'm trying to go grab my affiliate link.
Oh, nice. Anyone just mentioned this interview. We'll figure out a special offer for everyone.
Hans teaches on this also inside the academy. That's actually where my affiliate link is. I really don't care if you use my affiliate link or not. I thought, well, if I'm going to throw a link in the chat, I might as well use my link.
Well, they get something too.
You sign up as an affiliate, y'all. And then when you refer people that also buy it, then you get a little money back. Yeah. It's a great deal.
I'll figure it out. I'll figure out the affiliate. Everyone will get something for sure. I'll hook everyone up with an extra free license. How about that?
Oh, you're so nice. One thing I found that disclaimer you provide as part of the service of Termageddon can really be used as, here, let me scare the bejesus out of you. No, that's not the right way to say it because that's what you don't want to do is you don't want to scare your clients to death. But you do need to let them know of the seriousness of this and what you can do to help them. So if I just stumble on a local website, maybe it's the bakery down the street, and I notice their stuff's not, whether it's their site's not secure, they don't have a privacy policy, accessibility is kind of iffy. I don't know that I would approach anybody too much about that at this point. It's a little too early. But how would you say to approach a client about, I think you need a privacy policy to protect yourself. You don't have one. And you also don't have a terms and conditions or whatever. If I was going in there to buy muffins, it might be easier to bring it up. But how would you approach a client that way?
I don't think a privacy policy is going to make a sale for a new website directly. It's a wonderful relationship builder. What I mean by that is whether you have that initial ice cold call where you use it as a lead in to expressing it, or you're quoting out a project and discussing the importance of privacy policy in the quoting process, I think that is two different things. I'll start with the quoting process. And
just let me interrupt you for 1 second, because I do want to hear about that. But I was more thinking of, I'm not even trying to sell you a website. I just want to sell you a privacy policy. If it morphs into something because now you've come to know, like, and trust me, then that's okay. It's just a foot in the door where this is something they really need to have, right?
Yes, I love that. So I'll start there. I really like the idea of, if you're treating it as a standalone service offering, that it's a landing page on your website and it's accessible on your website. That way, when you're reaching out to them, it's not that they try to go to your website and they don't see any mention of it ever. And God forbid you don't even have a privacy policy on your own website. Like, come on, take advantage of your free license we're giving you and just take it.
Those children need to have shoes.
Yeah, when it comes to privacy law compliance, I do not agree with that argument. But any other time, I would say Cobbler's Shoes is a good model. But when reaching out to them, I would say make sure your website demonstrates the fact that you value privacy first and foremost, because when they go to that site, they need to be educated, because I will just about guarantee that small business owner has no idea about the privacy laws they may need to comply with and the privacy bills that, if passed, are going to make things a heck of a lot more complex and difficult. You're right in the sense you don't want to come off as frightening. Eventually, it's like you're just selling fear, and that's unfortunate. I'm all about educating people, and I get a little passionate, so I sometimes get nervous that I'm selling fear. Sometimes I'm sitting there, oh my gosh, I cannot believe people don't realize what is going on in the privacy world, because in the privacy community, we think the opposite. I think coming from an approach of education is critical. Let them understand, if they may or may not be compliant at this current moment, what may happen in the future. And certainly don't present yourself as an attorney. And you can always even preface that saying, I'm not an attorney. I noticed you don't have a privacy policy on your website. I'm not trying to get involved in your business. I'm not trying to overstep my bounds. You probably already have a web designer, but I just wanted you to know we have this as a side project. And if you'd want, we can connect and I can show you how you get privacy policies added to your website at a reasonable fee. I'm a very big fan of just being educational so that people can walk away from something. Even if they say no, they have a better concept of the world and how it runs, because most business owners have no idea right now. What I would also do is, when new bills pass in certain states, I would be targeting that state. Hey, are you aware of this? As we've talked about, privacy laws are broad reaching. Privacy law in California can apply to a business in Chicago, where we're located. When you're a business owner and you have no idea about this stuff, the privacy laws that are at your back door are the ones you're going to immediately gravitate towards. And then you lean them into understanding the fact that you got a lot more that you might need to comply with. So that's a long-winded answer to saying, I think educational is the best approach. Not being forceful and just having a lax, especially if they're your neighbor and you're buying like stuff from them. Don't be pushy in the sense it's going to be awkward the next time you come into their building. Like, no pressure. I'm not an attorney, but I do build websites and I help a lot of companies in the community. I just can't help but let you know this is required by law. You might want to look into getting a solution. If you need any references, let me know.
That's great.
Cool.
Yeah, and how do you know if a new bill has been proposed? That's a very complicated question that takes me hours to answer every day. If you want to follow us on social media at Termageddon, I make sure to post about those all the time. You'll see like different privacy studies, really good factual information that you can share with your clients. How many consumers would leave a website if it didn't have a privacy policy? What percentage of Americans want more privacy laws? What states have proposed new privacy bills? You can find all of that information on our social media too.
I'm really clear on how privacy policy can be used as a lead generator. I think that's a really good way to approach a client with finesse, by using education. I was a little unclear, and maybe some of the people watching this are too, on how this becomes recurring revenue for me. We talked about the affiliate program. That's one thing. But being a reseller, that's different, correct? Can you describe that?
We have monthly and annual plans. The reason why we charge a recurring fee is because we keep track of privacy bills and laws, and we'll update policies when the laws change, so it stays compliant and you're not out of compliance.
Yeah, you could have a privacy policy generated today that's compliant with just the best privacy policy ever written. It's compliant with all laws, but in a month, it could be non-compliant with the new privacy law, making it completely worthless. Therein lies my concern about the attorney business model, although I like when attorneys use Termageddon for their clients because then they get the best of both worlds. But anyways, real quick, Alex has mentioned this question. I just want to confirm we did answer it. Does Termageddon go over when someone needs either a TOS, privacy policy, etc.? In our agency partners area, termageddon.com/selling, if you go to section 1, we provide a cheat sheet on when you need a privacy policy, aka you have a contact form or Google Analytics, when you need a terms of service, aka you offer links to third-party websites, when you need a disclaimer, aka you participate in affiliate programs, offer legal advice, or offer anything that could be seen as health or fitness tips. So that's just the high level for there. But
also, Alex, I see that you're saying either a TOS and then terms and conditions also. A terms of service and a terms and conditions are interchangeable terms. They both mean the same thing.
So termageddon.com/selling, we list it all there. So with the reseller and affiliate programs, as an agency partner, you get a free license, period. Free auto-updating set of policies. We do that in the hopes that you like our product and want to utilize our assets to educate your clients on the importance of website policies. You can use the affiliate program, meaning that your customer will pay Termageddon directly. They will get 10% off their first year payment, and then you will receive a recurring commission for the lifetime of every referral. That means we at Termageddon pay you, meaning that you will never pay Termageddon anything. We also have the reseller program, where instead of buying licenses at $99 a year, you can buy licenses at $38 a year as an agency partner. And you can invoice your client whatever you want to invoice them. I recommend the full retail price plus a setup fee. You can invoice them whatever you wish and make the difference. So in that, with the reseller program, you are buying licenses from Termageddon at a fraction of the cost. You're invoicing your client the full retail price, and each Termageddon license can be shared with your end client. So when you create that license, you can click the share button, share it with them for them to answer the questions. We provide guides on how to do all that too.
Cool. That just cleared it up for me for the first time, because I've been doing the affiliate thing, but I wasn't serving clients for all this time. I've been working on the academy. Now I'm starting to again, so it's becoming more relevant to me.
The reseller program is definitely the route most agencies go. It's about 55% of agencies go the reseller program. I know what it's like dealing with web clients. I know they want one place to pay all their website related bills. So the reseller program is a great fit for that. You can buy them at wholesale and invoice your client the full retail price, or integrate them into your maintenance plans and just raise your maintenance rates, whatever it is. The reseller program is the main reason I wanted to build Termageddon. Donata obviously wanted to build the most comprehensive generator.
So I wouldn't write privacy policies anymore.
Yeah. Her goal was to never have to write one privacy policy at a time. She wanted to just create a system that does it all.
And you can also book a call with Hans too. So if you're not sure about which one to do, you can always book a call with us or shoot us an email, and we'd be happy to let you make the right decision. I see somebody saying, how do we change from affiliate to reseller?
How do you change from affiliate to reseller or vice versa? You can use the affiliate program for some clients. You can use the reseller program for the other clients. The moment you're approved as an agency partner is the moment we give you affiliate access and reseller access. So you can make that decision on a per client basis. The cool thing with the reseller program, you don't have to buy 1,000 licenses to get the wholesale rates. Once you're approved as an agency partner, you instantly have access to buying licenses one at a time at wholesale rates.
In my case, I use my affiliate link when I refer you to other agencies, and I will start using my reseller thing for my clients.
Love it.
I see one more question here. When a change is needed, who do you suggest updates the forms? Is the client or the agency via their dashboard access? So you can share licenses with your clients, and your clients can share the licenses with you. It's up to you which way you'd want to go. That's one of the features of Termageddon. You can share your license with a client, have them review the answers to the questions, or make any changes, or approve any updates and all that. We definitely recommend sharing the license with your clients.
That way they'll get notified if any additional questions are ever needed to be answered. They'll also be notified if we're planning an automatic update and whether they want that or not.
Okay, this has been so helpful. I know you have answered a lot of questions for people that they probably didn't even know they had. What advice would you give somebody who's thinking about productizing something? What's your biggest piece of advice?
I love the statement, over optimization is the root of all evil. Don't try to optimize faster than you can. Term Again is 90% built by our agency partners giving us feedback on what they want to see and stuff. We got a pretty solid MVP out there, but it needed a lot of work. Our agency partners helped decide that for us. Running the business is pretty easy from an agency side, for not so much to the privacy laws. But for me, all I have to do is listen to my clients. They want this. Okay, I see a logic. I ask a few other agencies. They're like, oh yeah, I would love that. And we add it. An MVP is valuable. That's another piece of advice. An MVP is very real. Launch something with this.
He means minimum viable product.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know the slang.
When you're envisioning your product, you need to stop thinking about the bells and whistles. You need to get something live that does the core, the absolute core of what you're trying to offer this world. From there, build out. I assure you that is far more productive and far more cost effective than if you were to build something out and it has to be perfect the day it launches and it has to, do X, Y, Z. No.
That kind of brings us to the end of our hour. Remember, Can We Talk About Your WordPress Projects is brought to you by the WP Project Managers Academy, the only place on the internet that teaches you how to consistently get your projects completed on time, within budget, with features that meet the client's business requirements without sacrificing profit. Do you like my elevator sentence?
You said it took me 5 years. On time, within budget. Those are the two keys to running a successful business.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on and talk to us about this. I know people are going to get some benefit from it. We have a Friday chat and we always carry on the conversation. So if any questions come up later in that, I'll circle them back to you all.
If you're talking about privacy on a Friday afternoon, you need to find some more activities in life.
We talk about other things too. We talk about things all over the board. But thank you guys for being with us. Thank you everyone else that was watching. Remember to always stay productive, stay strong, and never stop learning. See you later, guys. Thank you.